He agreed to marry an unknown alien woman. What happened that night stunned him. The stars beyond the viewport shimmered like diamonds, but Adrian hardly noticed. His mind was busy running through the message he had received just hours earlier from the Galactic Council. "Captain Cole," the message had read, "your next mission is crucial. You are to travel to Zerathia and enter a formal alliance with the Zerathian High Council. Part of this alliance requires you to marry an alien woman whose identity is secret. Your acceptance is vital for peace." Adrian had blinked at the screen, trying to process the words. He had spent his entire career studying diplomacy, understanding alien cultures, and negotiating trade deals. But this, marrying an unknown alien, that was entirely different. "Marry someone I don't know, someone I may never understand," Adrian muttered to himself. He ran a hand through his short brown hair, feeling a mixture of disbelief and unease. He had faced hostile aliens, surviving combat and political deception, but this challenge felt deeply personal. His first officer, Lieutenant Mara Kinsley, approached, her expression calm but curious. "Captain, are you going to accept the assignment?" she asked. Her voice carried a hint of concern. Mara knew Adrian well. She knew when he struggled with moral questions. Adrian leaned back in his chair, staring at the holographic star map again. "I don't know, Mara. It's one thing to negotiate a treaty, but it feels like handing over my personal life to an alien council. How can I trust them? How can I trust me?" Mara placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You've faced worse, Captain. Remember the Tharnes negotiations? You convinced them to stand down without firing a shot. If anyone can handle this, it's you." Adrian smiled faintly. Mara had a way of reminding him of his strengths. "Yes, but this is different. This isn't politics alone. This is personal. Marriage is about trust, not treaties, and I don't even know her name." Mara nodded. "True, but think of it this way. Accepting this doesn't make you weak. It shows courage. Humans are adaptable, Adrian. We've survived countless challenges precisely because we adjust and overcome." Adrian sighed. Mara was right, of course. Humans had always thrived in the galaxy despite being considered fragile by other species. Perhaps that adaptability was exactly what the Zerathians needed to see. After a long pause, Adrian straightened in his chair. "All right, I'll do it. I'll accept the assignment, but only on one condition." Mara raised an eyebrow. "Which is?" "That I go knowing exactly what I'm walking into. I want all the information available about Zerathian customs, traditions, and marriage rituals. I need to be prepared." Mara smiled. "Of course, Captain, I'll compile everything we know." The days that followed were a whirlwind of preparation. Adrian studied Zerathian culture through every document and simulation available. He learned that the Zerathians were a highly advanced species with an intricate system of social hierarchy, deeply valuing honor, trust, and ritual. Marriage, Adrian discovered, was not simply a union between two individuals. It was a bond that represented political stability, cultural respect, and mutual understanding. He learned that Zerathian brides and grooms often did not meet until the ceremony itself. A veil of secrecy was customary, meant to test the sincerity and courage of both parties. The ritual also included a unique mind-link exercise, where the couple shared memories and emotions in a controlled setting. The council believed that this process revealed the truth of character in a way words could never do. Adrian ran through these details repeatedly, imagining what it would be like to share a mind link with an alien he had never met. He felt a mix of anxiety and fascination. Humans had never been known for mind linking with other species, but perhaps that was exactly why the Zerathians had chosen him. They wanted to see if humanity could rise to the challenge. The night before his departure, Adrian stood on the observation deck of the Endeavor. Below, the stars of the galactic core stretched endlessly. He thought of Earth, of the bustling cities, of his family and friends. Could he explain this mission to anyone? Would anyone truly understand the weight of the responsibility on his shoulders? Mara joined him quietly, holding 2 cups of steaming tea. "You're thinking too much," she said softly. "It's normal to feel this way. You're about to do something no human has ever done before. That's not a burden, it's an opportunity." Adrian accepted the cup, the warmth calming his nerves. "An opportunity," he repeated. "Yes, perhaps that's the right way to see it." The journey to Zerathia began the next morning. The starship glided through space with smooth precision, engines humming softly. Adrian studied the approaching system, noting the swirling gas clouds, the orbiting moons, and finally the planet itself, Zarathia. Its surface glowed with faint turquoise light, hinting at the bioluminescent flora for which the planet was famous. The Zarathian starship that awaited him was unlike anything Adrian had ever seen. Its design was organic, flowing like water, with surfaces that shimmered as if alive. He stepped aboard, feeling the soft pulse of energy under his feet. This was a culture that merged science and art seamlessly. Adrian was greeted by the Zarathian High Council, a group of tall, elegant beings with translucent skin and eyes that seemed to reflect the stars themselves. Their voices were musical, yet commanding. "Captain Adrian Cole," intoned the lead counselor, a figure named Scythe, "we welcome you to Zarathia. Your agreement to our custom honors your species. Tomorrow you will meet your bride. Until then, you will learn the ways of our world and prepare your mind and heart for what is to come." Adrian bowed respectfully. "I am honored, Counselor Scythe. I will do my best to respect your customs and uphold the alliance between our peoples." The council's chambers were filled with technology and artistry beyond human imagination. Walls glimmered with moving lights, and corridors curved naturally as if grown rather than built. Adrian walked slowly, taking in every detail. He could feel the hum of energy that ran through the city, a sensation both thrilling and humbling. That night, Adrian was assigned quarters in a floating garden overlooking the city of Luminara, the capital of Zarathia. The garden was alive with luminous flowers, each petal emitting a gentle glow. The scent was unfamiliar, sweet, and calming. Adrian sat by the edge of a small pond, watching alien fish swim beneath the glowing surface. He reflected on the journey so far. Humans had always faced the unknown with determination, whether exploring distant planets, negotiating with hostile aliens, or surviving catastrophes on Earth. Perhaps this was just another frontier, a challenge to human resilience and adaptability. Sleep came fitfully. Adrian dreamed of a veiled figure, radiant and serene, reaching out to him. He could not see her face, yet he felt a profound sense of connection, a hint of the mind-link experience the Zarathians would require. He woke with a start, his heart pounding. This was no longer just a mission. It was a test of human courage, empathy, and trust. The next morning, Adrian prepared for the ceremony. He wore the formal attire of a human diplomat, carefully designed to show respect while remaining practical. He practiced deep breathing exercises, reminding himself that the coming hours would demand calm and clarity. As he entered the ceremonial hall, he was struck by its grandeur. The room was circular, with a high dome made of crystal that refracted light into brilliant patterns on the floor. Alien dignitaries filled the seats, each observing him with curiosity and interest. At the center, a luminous veil hung from a frame, waiting for the bride to appear. Scythe approached Adrian. "Captain, you have honored our customs by arriving willingly. Tomorrow, you will meet your bride and your courage will be tested. Remember, this is not a union of fear, but of trust. A human must show the strength of heart and mind." Adrian nodded, swallowing his nerves. "I understand. I will do my best." He stood silently in the grand hall, feeling the weight of history pressing upon him. This was more than marriage. This was a moment that could define humanity's place among the stars, showing that humans could rise to challenges beyond imagination. As night fell over Luminara, Adrian gazed at the glowing city outside the hall. Tomorrow, he would meet Liara, the unknown woman who represented both Zarathia and the future of human-alien relations. He could not predict what would happen, but he knew one thing. Whatever the challenge, humans had always found a way to adapt, survive, and flourish. And with that thought, Adrian Cole prepared himself for the night that would change everything. The morning light on Zarathia was unlike anything Adrian Cole had ever seen. The sky shimmered in gentle shades of turquoise and gold, reflecting off the crystal towers of Luminara, the capital city. Bioluminescent gardens floated in the air, their glow soft and calming. Adrian stood on the observation platform of the Zarathian starship, marveling at the scene. It was beautiful, serene, and completely alien, but it was real. Beside him, Lieutenant Mara Kinsley had joined the landing party. "Incredible, isn't it?" she whispered almost reverently. "Even after reading all the reports, seeing it in person is something else." Adrian nodded, but his mind was not at peace. The ceremonial day was approaching, and he had yet to meet Liara, the unknown woman he was to marry. He had spent hours studying Zarathian culture, preparing for protocol, learning every detail he could. Yet the thought of facing a being so different from him filled him with apprehension. The starship touched down softly on a platform of smooth, glowing stone. As the airlock opened, Adrian felt a subtle energy in the atmosphere, a sensation like a gentle hum vibrating through his chest. It was impossible to describe, but it was calming and stimulating at the same time. Humans had never experienced anything like it before. A Zarathian greeted them, tall and elegant, with translucent skin and eyes reflecting the colors of the city. "Welcome, Captain Cole," the being said in melodic tones. "I am Sorali, your guide. We are honored by your presence. Please allow me to show you Luminara." Adrian stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Thank you, Sorali. It is an honor to be here." The streets of Luminara were a marvel. The buildings seemed alive, shaped from crystal and organic materials that pulsed faintly with light. Paths floated gently above the ground, supported by invisible energy fields. The citizens of Luminara moved gracefully, many with subtle luminescent patterns across their skin. Their eyes were intelligent and curious, yet they watched Adrian with respect, as if aware of the significance of his presence. Sorali explained, "Zarathians value harmony with their surroundings. Every structure, every path, every living being is part of the balance." "You will soon understand our ways, Captain." Adrian tried to absorb everything. He had traveled to distant worlds before, but this was different. The entire planet seemed to live in quiet synchronization, as if the environment itself were conscious. Humans often struggled to coexist with alien planets, but here, it was natural, effortless, and yet incredibly sophisticated. They arrived at the ceremonial quarters, a large crystalline building overlooking a floating garden filled with glowing flowers. The garden was alive with movement. The plants shifted slowly, their petals adjusting to the light and air, and small, floating creatures hovered above the pools of water, scattering soft ripples of glow. Adrian felt a strange sense of awe. This world was alive in ways humans could barely imagine. "You will spend your remaining hours here," Sorali said. "Tomorrow, the ceremony begins. Tonight, reflect and prepare your mind and spirit. The bride awaits, as does the High Council. You must show understanding, courage, and respect. That is the measure of all humans who enter Zarathian unions." Adrian nodded. He felt a mixture of excitement and dread. Humans were known for resilience and ingenuity, yet the thought of a mind link, a Zarathian ritual, filled him with nervous anticipation. Could a human truly share consciousness with an alien being? Could he truly understand Liara before the ceremony? After Sorali left, Adrian explored the garden. He touched the glowing petals gently, marveling at their softness. The floating fish in the pond swam lazily, their scales reflecting light like liquid silver. He breathed in the scent of alien flora, sweet and unfamiliar, yet comforting. Mara watched him quietly. "It's peaceful, isn't it?" she said softly. "Perhaps this is what Zarathians hope humans will experience. They want to see if we can adapt, if we can find harmony with them and their world." Adrian nodded. "Yes, peaceful, but it's also a test. They are watching, observing my reactions, seeing if I can respect their ways, and tomorrow I will meet her. I don't even know who she is, yet everything depends on that meeting." Night fell over Luminara, casting a soft glow across the crystal towers. Adrian could hear faint music, melodic tones resonating through the air. It was difficult to tell whether the music came from instruments, the city itself, or the citizens. Somehow it didn't matter. It was calming, yet it reminded him that he was on a planet far beyond human understanding. Sleep came reluctantly. Adrian's dreams were strange and vivid. He dreamed of a veiled figure walking through luminous gardens, reaching out to him. When he tried to speak, he found he could hear her thoughts instead, calm and curious. He felt her emotions, her caution, her intelligence, her warmth. Waking from the dream, he realized he was already feeling a connection to this unknown alien, even without meeting her physically. The following morning, Adrian began his preparations for the ceremonial walkthrough, a ritual required before the wedding. The Zarathians had arranged a series of exercises meant to introduce humans to their world, testing adaptability, perception, and respect for life. First, he was led to a chamber of light and mirrors. Each reflection of himself was slightly altered. Some showed him younger, some older, some merged subtly with alien features. "This is the chamber of self," Sorali explained. Here, humans learn the flexibility of perception. We must be able to see ourselves in many ways before we see another being truly. Adaptation begins with understanding oneself. Adrian moved through the chamber slowly, observing each reflection. He realized that humans often limited themselves by their own expectations. Here, he was forced to confront not only what he was but what he could become. The exercise challenged him, yet he felt the spark of human ingenuity. He found ways to navigate the mirrors and patterns without fear, using logic, observation, and intuition. Next, he was taken to the Garden of Echoes, where he met animals and plants that communicated through light and sound. A small floating creature approached him, glowing in shifting colors. It emitted a gentle hum, and Adrian instinctively responded with a series of gestures he had seen in the Zorathian manuals. The creature mirrored him, creating a small pattern of light and sound that resonated between them. Humans can adapt surprisingly quickly, Sorali commented. Your species thrives in unpredictable conditions. That is why you have survived so far despite being considered weaker than many in the galaxy. Adrian felt a surge of pride. Humans were often underestimated, but here he could see that adaptability was not just survival, it was a gift. A human could thrive even in worlds as alien as Zorathia. As the day progressed, Adrian explored Luminara with Mara. They walked through floating streets, past markets where aliens traded luminous fruits and energy crystals, past schools where Zorathian children practiced telepathy exercises, and temples where citizens meditated in floating chambers. Adrian realized that Zorathia was a world that combined beauty, intelligence, and wisdom in every aspect of life. Yet, the thought of meeting Liara loomed over him like a shadow. He understood the importance of the ceremony, not just for the Alliance, but for proving humanity's worth to the galaxy. Humans were adaptable, yes, but could he demonstrate empathy and courage under such an intimate and unfamiliar challenge? As dusk approached, Sorali brought Adrian to a quiet terrace overlooking the city. The view was breathtaking, the glowing towers, floating gardens, and soft lights of the citizens moving in harmony. Tomorrow, Sorali said, you will meet her. You may not know her now, but the experience will reveal much. Trust in yourself and in your species. Humans are capable of remarkable things. Adrian gazed at the city, the weight of responsibility pressing on him. He thought of Earth, of humanity, and of the journey that had brought him here. For centuries, humans had explored, survived, and thrived, often in the face of impossible odds. Perhaps this was simply another test, a new frontier for humans to prove their worth. That night, Adrian could not sleep easily. He returned to the floating garden sitting by the glowing pond. The bioluminescent fish shimmered under the soft light, the plants swayed gently, and the city hummed in quiet harmony. He closed his eyes and focused, reminding himself of his duty, of the courage that humans had always displayed, and of the trust he would need to place in the unknown. In the distance, he felt the faint energy of Liara's presence, though he had not yet met her. A sense of anticipation and wonder filled him. Humans were capable of rising to challenges far beyond their home world. He had survived wars, negotiated peace among hostile species, and faced uncertainty with determination. This was no different. Tomorrow, he would meet the unknown alien woman. Tomorrow, his courage, adaptability, and empathy would be tested. And tomorrow, humans would have the opportunity to shine once again, proving that they could thrive in the galaxy alongside beings far more advanced and alien than themselves. Adrian stood, taking one last look at Luminara's glowing horizon. He felt a surge of determination. Humans had always faced the unknown and emerged stronger. Tomorrow, he would honor that legacy. And with that thought, he prepared himself for the next day, the day when the veil would lift, the bride would appear, and the true test would begin. The morning sun bathed Luminara in shades of gold and turquoise. Captain Adrian Cole stood at the entrance of the ceremonial hall, his heart racing with anticipation. Today, he would meet Liara, the unknown alien woman he was to marry. For weeks, he had prepared himself for Zorathian customs, studied the rituals, and practiced patience and focus. Yet nothing could fully prepare him for this moment. The hall was magnificent. Its walls were made of shimmering crystal that refracted light into countless colors, creating patterns that danced across the floor. The ceiling arched high above, covered in intricate carvings that depicted Zorathian history and the unity of their species. Floating above the floor, glowing platforms created a path toward the center of the room where the ceremonial veil hung. Adrian walked carefully, mindful of every step. Each movement he made was observed by the assembled council members and alien dignitaries, all seated along the edges of the hall. He could feel their curiosity, their expectations. He reminded himself of what Mara had said. Humans are adaptable. We can rise to challenges beyond imagination. At the center, the veil glowed softly, concealing Liara from view. Scythe, the Zarathian council leader, approached Adrian with a graceful motion. "Captain Cole," Scythe said, his voice melodic yet commanding, "you have honored our customs by arriving. The bride awaits behind the veil. But before you meet her, you must demonstrate understanding, courage, and respect. Only then will the union be accepted by the High Council." Adrian nodded, his palms slightly sweaty. "I understand. I am ready." Scythe gestured, and the ceremonial test began. First, Adrian was guided through the path of reflection, a narrow corridor filled with softly glowing walls. Each wall displayed visions of his past choices, moments of courage, doubt, compassion, and failure. Adrian walked slowly, examining each memory as if seeing it from a new perspective. He saw himself negotiating with the Tharnes warlords, calming a tense situation with words and strategy rather than weapons. He saw himself comforting the crew of a damaged ship, taking responsibility for mistakes and learning from them. He even saw moments of personal doubt, where he had questioned his own abilities. The path of reflection tested not his knowledge or skill, but his humanity. Could he acknowledge both his strengths and weaknesses? Could he accept that courage sometimes came with fear? Adrian paused at the final wall, looking at a vision of himself standing alone, uncertain on a distant planet. He took a deep breath and nodded to the vision. "I am human, I accept who I am, and I will strive to do better." The corridor ended, leading him to the next stage, the Chamber of Trust. In this room, Adrian was presented with a series of challenges designed to test his empathy and decision-making. Small creatures, glowing and delicate, approached him. Each needed guidance to navigate a series of obstacles. One creature was hesitant, afraid of the unknown. Another was injured and required careful attention. Adrian guided them patiently, using gentle motions and verbal reassurances, even though the creatures did not speak in any human language. He realized that communication was more than words. It was understanding intent, emotion, and the needs of others. By the time he finished the challenges, he felt a subtle glow of approval from the chamber itself. The Zarathians valued empathy highly, and Adrian had demonstrated it naturally. Finally, Scythe approached again. "You have shown understanding of self and others. You are ready to meet the bride. Remember, Captain, trust is the foundation of this union. Approach her with an open heart and clear mind." Adrian took a deep breath and stepped toward the veil. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear but from anticipation. What would she look like? How would she react to a human? Could he connect with her in a meaningful way? The veil shimmered and slowly lifted. Adrian saw Liara for the first time. She was breathtaking. Her skin glowed faintly with a soft luminescence, and her eyes reflected the colors of the city around them. Her features were elegant and slightly humanoid, yet distinctly alien. She moved gracefully, with the quiet confidence of someone who understood her world perfectly. Liara smiled warmly at Adrian. "Welcome, Captain Cole," she said. Her voice was melodic, gentle, and carried a tone of curiosity. "I am Liara. I have been awaiting this moment." Adrian bowed respectfully. "I am honored to meet you, Liara. I hope to live up to your expectations and those of your people." Liara's smile widened. "Expectations are not my concern. Understanding and trust are." Scythe gestured to the center of the hall. "The next stage is the mind link. This is a test of empathy and connection. Through this, you will experience a bond unlike any other. Captain, this is where humans are most often challenged." Adrian felt a shiver of anticipation. Mind linking was a practice humans rarely attempted with aliens. It required absolute openness and the ability to experience another's thoughts and emotions while remaining grounded in one's own mind. He had studied it theoretically, but theory and practice were very different. Liara extended her hand. "Are you ready?" Adrian nodded. "I am." They touched palms, and immediately a surge of energy passed between them. Adrian's vision blurred, and suddenly he could feel Liara's thoughts and emotions. He experienced her memories, not as an observer, but as if he were living them. He saw her childhood, growing up in the floating cities of Zarathia, learning the ways of her people, the importance of balance, and the responsibility she carried. He felt her fears, the uncertainty of this union, the weight of representing her people, and the hope that this marriage could foster trust between species. But he also felt her courage, her intelligence, and her compassion. Liara had a deep sense of duty, yet she remained open-hearted and curious. Adrian focused on grounding himself. He reached out mentally, sharing glimpses of his own memories, his childhood on Earth, his training as a diplomat, moments of challenge and triumph. Liara responded with understanding, never judgment. The experience was overwhelming, yet profoundly enlightening. Hours seemed to pass in moments. When the link ended, Adrian blinked, feeling a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. He looked at Liara and saw not only an alien woman but a partner, an ally, and a reflection of the best qualities of humanity. "You understand more than most humans could," Liara said softly. "And yet you remain distinctly human. That balance is rare and valuable." Adrian smiled. "I've learned that humans can adapt even in ways we never imagined. Perhaps that is what your people hope to see." Scythe nodded approvingly. "Indeed, Captain, humans are often underestimated. Yet you have demonstrated the courage, empathy, and adaptability that define your species. The High Council will be pleased." The ceremony concluded with a formal exchange of symbols, a glowing pendant for Adrian and a matching one for Liara. These pendants represented trust, unity, and the bond of marriage. As they placed them around each other's necks, a faint light connected the two, a visual representation of the trust they had established. Afterward, Adrian and Liara stepped onto a balcony overlooking the city. The soft glow of Luminara's towers and floating gardens stretched out beneath them. For a moment, words were unnecessary. They had experienced the mind link, shared thoughts, and understood each other in a way that transcended language. "You are different from what I expected," Adrian said honestly. "I did not imagine that meeting an unknown alien could feel so right." Liara laughed softly, the sound melodic and warm. "I felt the same. Humans are more resilient and adaptable than many believe. Perhaps that is why this bond works." Adrian nodded, feeling a deep sense of pride and connection. Humans had always faced the unknown with courage, and here on a distant alien world, that courage had been validated. He realized that this was more than a political alliance. It was a partnership between species, a chance for humans to demonstrate their worth and humanity in a galaxy full of advanced civilizations. That night after the ceremony, the city of Luminara glowed under the twin moons of Zarathia. Adrian and Liara walked through the floating gardens, their hands brushing occasionally, both aware of the profound bond they had begun to form. The stars above were brilliant, yet Adrian felt something even more extraordinary. The sense that humans, even in a galaxy of advanced aliens, could shine, adapt, and connect in ways that no one expected. He thought of Earth, of humanity, and of the countless challenges humans had overcome. Wars, disasters, exploration, and diplomacy had forged a species capable of remarkable things. And tonight, on Zarathia, he had proof once again. Humans could rise to the occasion, bridging worlds, cultures, and hearts. As they paused by a glowing pond, Liara turned to him. "Tomorrow we face the world together, not just as partners in ceremony, but as allies in a galaxy that watches us closely. Are you ready?" Adrian took a deep breath, looking at her eyes, clear, intelligent, and filled with trust. "I am ready, and I am proud to represent humanity. Together we will show what we are capable of." Above them, Luminara shimmered in quiet harmony. Below, the floating gardens glowed softly, and around them, the city breathed in a rhythm of peace and possibility. And in that moment, Adrian realized something profound. The night of the ceremony had not only tested him, it had revealed the true strength of humanity, the courage to face the unknown, the empathy to connect across species, and the ability to thrive in even the most alien of worlds. The galaxy was watching, and humanity had proven itself worthy. The morning on Zarathia began with a soft glow over Luminara, the floating city sparkling like a constellation brought to life. Captain Adrian Cole stood beside Liara on a balcony, watching as the city stirred with life. After the ceremony, he felt a connection stronger than he had expected. The mind link they had shared during the ceremony left a lingering sense of understanding. He knew Liara's thoughts and emotions in a way that surpassed language. Yet, the sense of peace was short-lived. While reviewing the city's communication grids with Liara, Adrian noticed irregular patterns, faint, repeating signals coming from the outer orbit. They were subtle, almost imperceptible, but enough to raise concern. "What is this?" Adrian asked, pointing to the readings. Liara's expression became serious. "I felt something as well, but the council did not mention it. These signals, they are unusual. I believe we may not be alone in their arrival." Adrian frowned. "Could it be a false alarm?" Humans often misread alien technology. Yet he felt his instincts tell him otherwise. Humans had survived countless crises because they trusted both logic and intuition. "We should investigate," Liara said calmly, though tension showed in her eyes. "If there is a threat, we must act quickly. Luminara must be protected." They moved to the city's observation center, a large chamber with crystal walls that displayed the entire planet and its surrounding space. As they watched, a fleet of ships appeared in the distance, sleek and dark, moving with precision. Adrian's eyes widened. He had studied alien fleets before, but this one radiated a sense of organized menace, an intent to challenge Zarathia. "They are approaching fast," Liara said. "We have little time." Adrian's mind worked quickly. Humans had a reputation for ingenuity, often succeeding in impossible situations. He turned to Liara. "We need a plan. We combine your people's abilities with human strategy. We can outthink them." Liara nodded. "Agreed, but we must act carefully. Zarathians can repel many attacks, yet this fleet seems organized to exploit weaknesses. Your perspective may help." Adrian studied the holographic projections of the fleet. "Their formation is symmetrical but predictable. If we can force them into disruption, we can divide their forces. I suggest using decoy signals combined with targeted energy fields to isolate segments of their fleet." Liara's eyes brightened. "That is clever. Your strategy is unexpected. Humans are indeed adaptable." They worked through the day, combining human ingenuity with Zarathian energy manipulation. Adrian suggested positioning energy barriers to redirect the fleet's trajectory while creating controlled flashes of light to confuse enemy sensors. Liara adjusted the plan, using her people's ability to manipulate energy in subtle ways, enhancing Adrian's improvisation. By evening, the preparations were complete. Adrian and Liara stood on the balcony once again, watching the enemy ships approach. The floating gardens below them glowed, reflecting light from the encroaching fleet. Citizens moved quietly, trusting the council and the two leaders to protect them. "This is unlike anything I've faced before," Adrian admitted, his mind sharp but calm. "But humans have faced impossible odds before. This is just another test." Liara touched his arm gently. "And we face it together. Trust your instincts, Adrian." The first wave of the fleet entered the outer atmosphere. Adrian activated the decoy signals. Small energy bursts shot across space, resembling human starships. The enemy ships diverted toward them, and as planned, entered the energy barriers. The barriers deflected and slowed their movement, isolating groups of ships from the main formation. Liara joined him in projecting subtle energy pulses, creating temporary shields around key city points while the fleet's attention was divided. Together, human strategy and Zarathian abilities worked seamlessly. Adrian felt a rush of pride. Humans were not only surviving, they were innovating, proving their worth in real time. The enemy ships attempted to adjust, but the combination of unpredictability and ingenuity kept them off balance. Adrian noticed one vessel trying to break through the defenses, targeting a critical energy node. He acted instantly, directing a controlled energy pulse to redirect the vessel safely away from the city. Liara's eyes widened. "You did that instinctively." "Most humans would hesitate," Adrian shrugged, smiling briefly. "Humans have a habit of improvising. We adapt quickly when survival is at stake." Hours passed as the battle continued. Adrian coordinated the city's defenses, issuing instructions while remaining flexible, improvising strategies based on enemy movements. Liara monitored energy flows, adjusting shields and redirecting power where needed. The two of them communicated silently, a continuation of the mind link that allowed instantaneous understanding of each other's thoughts. As night fell, the enemy fleet began to retreat. Adrian and Liara watched as the ships turned away, unable to penetrate the city's defenses. Luminara remained safe, glowing softly beneath the twin moons of Zarathia. The citizens of Luminara emerged from their homes, cheering quietly, their trust in the council and the human captain validated. Adrian felt a profound sense of accomplishment. Humans, once underestimated, had demonstrated intelligence, courage, and adaptability, traits that allowed them to flourish even in alien worlds. Liara turned to him, her expression a mix of admiration and gratitude. Captain Cole, today you have proven that humans are capable of more than many believe. Your ingenuity saved Zarathia tonight. Adrian shook his head, smiling. We did it together. Your people's abilities combined with human strategy. It was teamwork. That is what makes us strong. The two walked through the floating gardens, the soft glow of bioluminescent plants reflecting off their faces. Citizens paused to look at them, realizing that a new kind of bond had formed between humans and Zarathians. This was more than political alliance. It was mutual respect, a demonstration that collaboration could overcome even the most formidable threats. Later, in a quiet chamber overlooking the city, Liara and Adrian reflected on the day. I have never experienced this before, Adrian said. The mind link, the battle, it was overwhelming, but I felt a connection with your world, and with you that I can't explain fully. Liara smiled softly. That is the essence of trust. We must understand each other deeply, especially when facing challenges. Today you showed not only courage but the human capacity to adapt and protect. That is rare, Adrian nodded. Humans often surprise even themselves. We are capable of great things, especially when we work with others. Tonight, I feel that we have built something stronger than a ceremony or a bond. We have built trust. Liara placed her hand gently on his. And that trust will guide us in the days to come. The galaxy is full of unknowns, but together we can face them. You, Adrian, are a symbol of human potential. Adrian felt a warmth in his chest, pride mixed with humility. Humans had always been underestimated in the galaxy, yet here he stood, proving that courage, ingenuity, and empathy could match even the most advanced civilizations. The night passed quietly, but the lessons of the day lingered. Adrian knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, but he also knew that humans had an extraordinary ability to adapt, to think, and to thrive. His experiences on Zarathia were proof that humans could flourish in the stars, not just survive but excel. As the twin moons of Zarathia reflected off the city's crystal towers, Adrian looked at Liara and smiled. The galaxy is watching us, and humans have shown that we are worthy. This is only the beginning. Liara's eyes shone with understanding and trust. Indeed, Adrian. Together, we will show the galaxy the strength of our bond and the brilliance of humans when they rise to challenges beyond imagination. Adrian felt a surge of hope. Humans had always been explorers, diplomats, warriors, and innovators. On Zarathia, he had witnessed firsthand how these qualities could shine in new and unexpected ways. And as he gazed at the glowing city and the distant stars, he knew that humanity's journey had only just begun. Tomorrow would bring new decisions, new alliances, and perhaps new threats, but Adrian was ready. Humans had adapted before, and they would continue to do so. In a galaxy of endless possibilities, the courage and ingenuity of a single species could make all the difference. And tonight, under the soft glow of Luminara, Adrian Cole understood something profound. Humans were not merely survivors. They were innovators, connectors, and a force capable of flourishing even among the stars. The morning sun rose over Luminara, casting golden and turquoise light across the floating city. The events of the previous night were still fresh in Captain Adrian Cole's mind. Humans had never been known for mind-linking with aliens or coordinating advanced defensive strategies in real time. But last night, Adrian had done both. He had witnessed firsthand how human ingenuity could complement alien abilities, and now the results of that effort were clear. Zarathia had been saved, and humanity had proven its potential once again. Yet, despite the calm morning, Adrian knew their work was not done. Intelligence reports indicated that remnants of the attacking fleet were regrouping in the outer orbit. This was not over. The fleet might have retreated, but it had left a clear warning. Zarathia was being watched, and the galaxy held challenges yet unseen. Liara joined Adrian on the balcony overlooking the city. She was calm, as always, but her eyes reflected the seriousness of the situation. Captain Cole, the Council wishes to discuss the next steps. We must ensure that Zarathia remains safe and that no other fleet exploits our momentary vulnerability. Adrian nodded. Agreed, but we can also use this as an opportunity. Humans think differently, sometimes in ways other species cannot anticipate. Perhaps we can turn this threat into an advantage, not just a defense. Liara smiled faintly. That is why you are here. Your mind is not bound by centuries of tradition. You see possibilities that others overlook. Together, they entered the High Council chamber. The room glowed with the soft illumination of crystal panels, and the council members watched them with keen eyes. Captain Cole, Liara, Sirth began, your combined efforts last night were exceptional. Humans are often underestimated, yet your strategy saved lives and preserved the city. We are grateful, Adrian bowed respectfully. Thank you, Counselor Sirth. Humanity has always survived by adapting and cooperating. I am honored to demonstrate that even in a world far from Earth, Sirth nodded. But the threat remains. We must consider a decisive action to prevent further attacks. What do you propose? Adrian stepped forward, pointing at a holographic map of the fleet's last known positions. We need to think like them, predict their next moves. I suggest creating controlled energy disturbances across space, false targets that mimic our defenses. We can lure the fleet into confusion and isolate each ship. Then, using a combination of Zorathian energy pulses and human tactical maneuvers, we can neutralize their ability to regroup. Liara's eyes widened. You would coordinate the city's energy grids with our shields and defensive pulses. Yes, Adrian said. Your people's abilities can magnify human strategy. We can work together to not only defend the planet but also send a message. Humans are capable of extraordinary action. The council deliberated briefly, then nodded. We will follow your plan. We place our trust in you. Adrian and Liara moved quickly, coordinating teams of Zorathian engineers, strategists, and soldiers. Adrian was surprised at how smoothly the humans and aliens adapted to one another. Humans, with their quick improvisation and resourcefulness, complemented the Zorathians' precision and energy control. It was a perfect example of what he had always believed. Humans could flourish when given the right circumstances. As the enemy fleet approached again, Adrian and Liara activated their plan. Energy fields pulsed across space, creating illusions of heavily armed positions. Decoy signals mimicked human starships, confusing the enemy sensors. Then, carefully timed pulses from Zorathian shields and energy manipulation disrupted the fleet's formation. Adrian's heart raced as he directed movements, adjusting strategy with every shift in the enemy's approach. Now, he shouted, as Liara amplified the city's protective energy. The enemy ships were forced to scatter, unable to maintain coordination. Adrian directed the decoy signals to lead small groups of ships into isolated traps, where their engines were temporarily disabled. The battle was swift but decisive. By nightfall, the fleet had retreated entirely. Luminara remained untouched, glowing gently beneath the twin moons of Zorathia. Citizens emerged, watching the city shimmer in triumph. Cheers and soft celebrations filled the air. Humanity, through Adrian's ingenuity, had earned respect beyond measure. Liara turned to Adrian, her expression filled with admiration. You have done more than I expected. Your strategies, your decisions, they saved the city. Humans are remarkable. Adrian shook his head, smiling. It was teamwork. Your people's abilities, combined with human thinking, made this possible. Alone, either of us might have struggled, but together, we achieved the impossible. The city's council formally recognized Adrian and Liara's success. Captain Cole, Sirth said, you have proven that humans are not only capable but exceptional. Your courage, adaptability, and intellect have saved Zorathia. You are welcome as an ally and your species is honored among us. Adrian felt a swell of pride. Humans had always been underestimated by the galaxy, often thought of as fragile or limited. Yet here on Zorathia, he had shown that they could thrive, think creatively, and rise to any challenge. That evening, after the formal acknowledgments, Adrian and Liara walked together through the floating gardens of Luminara. The glowing plants cast soft light over their path, and the citizens of the city paused to watch them pass. There was a sense of peace, accomplishment, and a shared understanding that humanity had earned a place of respect. Liara stopped beside a glowing pond, the water shimmering with bioluminescent colors. She turned to Adrian. Captain, the events of today will be remembered for generations. But more than that, I have learned something profound about humans. You are more than survival. You are ingenuity, courage, and compassion. You adapt where others might fail. That is why this bond between us is possible. Adrian smiled softly. I feel the same about Zarathians, your world, your abilities. You've taught me that partnership is more than strategy. It's about understanding and trust. Humans have always relied on adaptability, but we also rely on connection. And today I feel that connection with you. Liara's eyes glimmered. Then we are ready, not just for the galaxy, but for what comes next. Together, humans and Zarathians can accomplish what neither could alone. Adrian nodded, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. The ceremony, the mind link, and the battle had revealed much more than he had anticipated. It was not just about a political alliance or a marriage. It was about showing that humans could rise to challenges beyond imagination, proving their worth in a universe that often doubted them. That night, under the twin moons, Adrian and Liara looked over the city. The floating gardens glowed gently, and the crystal towers shimmered with light. For the first time, Adrian felt that he was not just representing humans diplomatically, but also demonstrating humanity's true potential. Adrian, Liara said softly, tonight has shown what humans and Zarathians can achieve together. But it also revealed something about you personally. Courage, insight, empathy, these are traits that define your species, and they define you. Adrian looked at her, feeling a warmth he had never experienced before. Liara, I came here expecting a duty, a responsibility, but what I found was partnership, understanding, and trust. You've shown me that humans can not only survive but thrive in worlds beyond our own. That realization, it's staggering. Liara smiled. Then we have both learned something today. You see my world and I see yours, not just your species, but your heart. The city of Luminara continued to glow beneath them. Citizens wandered through the floating gardens, children played softly, and the gentle hum of energy filled the air. Above, the twin moons reflected light across the crystal towers, a symbol of stability, beauty, and balance. Adrian felt a deep sense of hope. Humanity had always been underestimated, yet here they had shown ingenuity, courage, and empathy. They had adapted, flourished, and proven that their potential extended far beyond Earth. He took Liara's hand gently. We've faced the unknown, Liara. We've proven ourselves not just as individuals, but as representatives of our species. Humans can flourish even among the stars, even alongside beings far more advanced than ourselves. And tonight, we celebrate that. Liara's hand tightened around his. Yes, Adrian. Together, we have bridged worlds, cultures, and hearts. This is only the beginning of what humans and Zarathians can achieve. As the night deepened, the city's glow reflected in their eyes, and the stars of Zarathia twinkled above. Adrian knew that the journey ahead would bring new challenges, new discoveries, and new opportunities. But for now, he allowed himself to bask in the knowledge that humans had risen to the occasion and thrived. For the first time, he truly understood what it meant to be human in a galaxy full of wonders. Humans were not just survivors. They were innovators, connectors, and a force capable of achieving the impossible. And as the twin moons set, casting a soft silver light over Luminara, Adrian Cole felt a profound truth settle in his heart. Humans had a place in the stars, not as outsiders, but as equals, capable of shaping the galaxy through courage, ingenuity, and trust. The night had changed everything, and in that quiet, glowing city, humanity's brilliance shone for all to see.